Hi, everyone. Today is Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Morgan, and this is a talk I host twice a week to discuss my experiences on the path of soul transcendence. I offer this work through the movement of spiritual inner awareness with the encouragement and support of my friend John Morton, who holds the mystical traveler consciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that does the work that we're doing here today. If you're new to the call, the format is simple. We're going to start by calling ourselves forward into the light, which is calling our awareness forward into the light of God that's already present. And then we're going to chant three Anai hues. Hue is an ancient name for God, and Anai invokes a quality of empathy and compassion. Then we're going to play a video clip from my teacher, John Roger. And then I'm going to do a reading from Kabir. And then we can talk about whatever you would like. So with that, Ron Holnick, would you like to call us forward into the light?
You betcha. Lord God of all creation, we come before you today from the depth of our heart, where all we will ever find is love. Or should I say, loving, for it is from that place that we all learn and grow and graduate from the earth school. So be it.
It shakes people when I say not one soul will be lost. They say, well, it says in this Bible, and I say, your God isn't very big. You've got too small of a God. The God of all creation cannot destroy itself. Itself goes on forever. Always has been, always will be. Whenever you have trouble and something bothers you and you're distressed and you're sore afraid, remember this one thing. If you think of nothing else, out of God comes all things. God created all things, and if God be for you, who can be against you? The fool? Jesus said, I can help everybody but the fool. Go your way, I can do nothing for you. And we say, yes, in that time, because of the message. In this time, we say, come, there's a place prepared for you. You even get fool's gold in fool's paradise. But it is there for you, everyone. Not one soul is going to be lost. God loves all of its creation. That means God loves you. And if God thinks that much of you to love you, can I do any less? But I love you the same way God does, non-interfering, supporting, letting you handle it your way as you gain the experience to grow, because grow you will, develop you will, spiritual you are, you will awaken to it. Everyone is going home. And probably one of the greatest things is out of God comes all things. So evil's in the eye of the beholder, and hurt's in the eye of the beholder, and love is in the eye of the beholder. And that's really true, extremely so. That if we become prejudiced against one, we have become prejudiced against the awakening to our own consciousness of love. And we must overcome even that one. Down to the very last farthing, we must pay off our indebtedness. And so, if anything I've told you does work for you, it may be just that it validated what has already been working for you. That's fine. And others will say, I'll never work that. Out of God comes all things. You better at least be neutral towards it. Can you please everybody? If you try, you are lost. Please yourself, do good works, do good inside, and do good outside. That's God's side. What is good? Take care of yourself, take care of others. Don't hurt yourself, don't hurt others. You say, that's just the golden rule. What's wrong with just the golden rule? What's wrong with, yes, I am my brother's keeper? What's wrong with all these things? They're such a pain. Next, on to the next person. Why? Can't help the fool. They must go their own way and do their own thing. And maybe they must follow the beat of another drum. Will all eventually come this way? Yes. Not one soul will be lost. It's a fantastic directive out of the heart of God. Not one soul. How could God lose itself? God loves all of its creation. We're a part of that. How do we know? He's maintaining and keeping us here and gave us the agency to build and change according to our own will. I like to say a few things over and over, especially when they're true. Not one soul is going to be lost, and I don't care what any of your preachers tell you. Not one soul. God loves all of its creation. Can you imagine, even down to the follicles of your hair, even to your ingrown whiskers, even to your rash? God loves all of its creation. And listen, the third one, out of God comes all things. Out of God comes all things. The fourth one, you won't be given anything you can't handle. You won't be given anything you can't handle. And the fifth thing, I am always with you. It shakes.
All right. And this is a piece by Kabir called Weaving Your Name. I weave your name on the loom of my mind to make my garment when you come to me. My loom has 10,000 threads. I make my garment when you come to me. The sun and moon watch while I weave your name. The sun and moon hear while I count your name. These are the wages I get by day and night to deposit in the lotus bank of my heart. I weave your name on the loom of my mind to clean and soften 10,000 threads, and to comb the twists and knots of my thoughts. No more shall I weave a garment of pain, for you have come to me, drawn by my weaving, my ceaselessly weaving your name on the loom of my mind. All right, there you go. Guess we'll start with Megan.
Hi. I'm new. This is my first time, and I have an appointment set up next week. But for the past 10 years, I found myself caught in an inexplicable cycle of repeated loss in the kind of career and component of my life in a way that's incongruent with my demeanor and the rest of my life. Um, I question whether it is karmic or if a spell has been put on me, put on this like siloed area of my life, as it's systematic and seemingly unavoidable, to no fault of my own, and feels bigger than me, so to speak. Yesterday, I was dismissed from an opportunity that took me 9 months to find, and I'm just paralyzed with dread, loss of hope, and a sense of futility towards life.
Okay. So what's your question?
Um, I just don't know how to move forward, and from this state of paralysis, and if there's anything, I guess I just don't know. I'm just feeling hopeless and seeking tools or ways to move towards a healing place or a place where I can function again.
Hmm. I think part of the challenge is the way you framed it, um, in the sense that, well, from my experience, nothing ever happens that is not somehow causally related to an action we took in this life or a past life. So there's no accidents. And it's very true that you may be going through very difficult karmas for you, meaning you don't like what you're seeing. And I think it's very easy for the consciousness to assume that what have I done to deserve this? This isn't my fault, all that kind of thing. But I've actually found that karma is not terribly personal. I mean, it's personal from the ego perspective, but it's not personal in the sense that most karma seems to just be energy that's seeking its own completion. Now, I may not like what that looks like within the context of my ego story, but that doesn't make it right or wrong. That just means I don't like that. And you're definitely entitled to not like situations like losing job opportunities and things like that. And you're certainly have every right to throw yourself a real good pity party, which I've done plenty of those in my day. But it's like, how do I go forward? Well, you kind of just start with breathing in and breathing out. You don't have to worry about going forward because your karma is designed to pull you forward into whatever it is you're supposed to learn and experience. That's the basis of why you're here. You're here to learn, you're here to grow, you're here to complete karma. So you're going to be brought into the situations that you need in perfect ways and in perfect timing that will give you the growth opportunities that you need.
I see. It's just, I try to take as much responsibility for every situation that I can so that I can have a little bit of control over it. And
No,
it's
no, you're not going to get control here. Control doesn't happen here. But you can get some dominion here. So it's not so much about was I cursed by so and so, or did this energy happen here, or why did this happen, or maybe so and so didn't like me, or whatever. I find that freedom is always an inner process. So it's not about taking dominion or control of your life or like bring some sanity. That's just what the ego and the mind want. See, what we're doing here, what we're talking about, the whole soul transcendence thing, is very much about knowing a you that is transcendent of all of this ebb and flow of your karma, the ups and the downs. Because most of the people in this virtual room, most of the people who are here, we've already been through all the ups and the downs and the ebbs and the flows of karma in one lifetime or another. In one lifetime, you might be a king, in another lifetime, a peasant, another lifetime, a slave, another lifetime, a general. You do all these different things. You go around the merry-go-round so many times, and you find that as much as you think that you're winning in a specific context, there's a finality to all of it. That this is a realm where things die. This is a realm that is an energy pattern that will not continue indefinitely. Therefore, what we talk about and the work that we do is really focused on remembering you to the you that is transcendent and connecting to you to this thing called the sound current, which in certain spiritual contexts and Judeo-Christian contexts might be called the Holy Spirit, as the spirit expresses downward. In the context of the sound current, it would be the upward process of reconnecting to the origin point, the spirit that we are. So that's kind of that's what I mostly talk to people about on this talk. And in terms of how to actually work through, I mean, I need to know a bit more specifics about the situation, but you can drive yourself crazy thinking that the results in the world are always your fault, or that the results in the world are, or that you're a victim to the results. Either way, you lose. Rather than, if you start to realize that what goes on in the world is just what needs to go on in the world for you to learn the lessons and complete the karma, but that ultimately where you're going is a place that is transcendent inside of you, where regardless of the situation, you can know yourself as divine, you can know yourself as the beloved. So for me, what I do is I say, well, why don't we go to the level that's hurting? Why don't we go to that level and we can bring healing to that hurt? And then it doesn't really matter what happens in the other context.
Thank you.
Do you understand? Do you understand what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying?
I'm working on it. It's all very new to me.
Yeah,
Um, it's just so much bigger than me and my situation, my little situation, this perpetual pattern that just is like it's enough that it's noticeable to people adjacent to me. They're like, geez, like seriously, like you really kind of can't get a break. I'm like, right? It's kind of uncanny.
maybe, maybe. It depends what you mean by get a break.
Well, I know I'm blessed in many ways and I don't take things for granted. It's a very siloed area of anomalistic patterns because it's just incongruent with everything else.
What does that mean?
Well, in that, I think that I'm going to just beat cancer this year.
Nice.
I'm positive. I appreciate life and things. I I don't I try not to play the victim. And life is, pretty I'm pretty blessed in most areas of my life. And um it's just when it comes to career stuff, like really crazy things where I just walk in the door and an employer will like accuse me of stealing or something and I didn't steal anything. Like just weird things like that and they're like, "I'm sorry, you're no longer employed here." And I'm like, what is happening? Like just really like over and over and over very I mean things I just can't control. It's like all right, here we go. Like back to my car, don't have a job, you know? Um just weird stuff. I don't know how to explain it. Like there's not one thing I could have done differently. Uh
Right. So
the
you did
problem,
a good job.
it feels bigger than me. Like I mean, and that's why I feel like there's like this spell or something because it's so divorced from my actions that I don't really know how to just maneuver through life when a lot of things I'll take as responsibility for as much as I can, but a lot of things are just kind of happening to me. And um I guess I'm supposed to learn from this, but I also have to feed myself and get by and get down the road.
100%. And what I'm suggesting is it's not really about whether you stole or did anything in this lifetime. It's not really about what's just or what's right. you obviously had a karma that required you to be accused of something that you didn't do. I've had that karma go too, and I don't like it. I get really outraged and really angry about it. But to me, the path of liberation is always of going inside and doing the forgiveness. I don't know if you have any forgiveness practice or anything you can do within yourself. For me, this is all a bit of a game. It's like sometimes you're gonna make the money you shouldn't make, but you do anyway. And sometimes you're gonna lose the money you shouldn't lose, but you do anyway. And sometimes you're gonna get away with something you shouldn't have done and you get away with it anyway. And sometimes you're gonna get accused of something you didn't do and you get in trouble anyway. And that's just how the world is.
Right.
Because there was probably a past life where you did steal and you did get away with it. And those, and so this is a balancing. Now, look, the more you start to connect into that infinite spirit within you, the more you start to know it and live from it, the less, I don't want to say you won't be affected by it, but you'll be less affected in the sense that your very presence will spiritualize your experience. So you'll go through the things because we all have, as long as we're growing toenails, we're going to have to go through human stuff, right? But it doesn't define you.
Mhm.
It's not, it doesn't limit you or define you. And the truth is, that job was never the source of your well-being. God has always been the source of your well-being. And you've always been taken care of. And how do I know? Because you're right here and you're using a computer and you're doing okay and you survived cancer. So up until now, stuff's worked out, right?
Yes. I mean, I know that my worst day would be somebody else's best day, and I don't take that for granted.
Sure. I mean, that's a mental process that works. But I'm saying in your life, you have been taken care of and sustained up to this point without fail.
Agreed.
Right. And so this is no different. It's just your ego got a little bit of a punch called, we think you stole, and you're like, no, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, that sucks. So go to the part of you that's hurting. I mean, it's like for me, I do different forgiveness techniques because but I don't necessarily want to be at a place where I need to prove that I didn't steal in order to be lovable. Like maybe you just own it. Maybe you just go, I forgive myself for judging the thief in me.
Mhm.
You know, you start to heal that part of you that feels unloved if you're a thief. See, I was always taught by my teacher, use everything for upliftment, growth, and learning. And for me, that means it's like the PR motto, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Right.
So if this is presenting you with triggering stuff, you don't run from the trigger or try to manage the trigger. I actually go in the direction of the trigger because I know if I can heal it, then I'm that much more free inside of me.
I hear you.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know. Working it into practice will be the thing, my homework for moving forward.
How would you approach working it into practice?
Probably incorporating deep breaths before I have any type of extreme emotional reaction. And I guess know that as long as I'm being my authentic self, sometimes the outcomes will be that which I want, and sometimes they won't.
Yeah, we don't always get what we want. That's true.
But I mean,
Or
it's
it's,
just a job. I mean, like, come on, give me a break. Like, it's like, it's not everything, but it's kind of an important thing for getting down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, throughout our conversation, I've seen you doing quite a bit of mentalizing and mental gymnastics. I think it's totally okay for you to have hurt. I just don't think the hurt originates in this job, in this circumstance. I think there's a deeper thing going on. And I think it's worth sitting with yourself and loving yourself and healing the root of that rather than trying to convince yourself or mentalize yourself out of that. But again, maybe I'm a bit of a masochist because when I get a lot of upset going, I go toward it.
Right.
I start poking at it.
I guess there's just an exhaustion because it's been like 10 years of a pattern that I just can't seem to break. And I've
What's
feel
the
like,
pa- and the pattern is you getting accused of stuff that isn't.
no, no, it wasn't that. It's just job loss, whether it's,
Oh,
you
okay.
work for a company and then the company runs out of money and has to close its doors, or, a startup, it doesn't make it, or, it's just been one after another. And then I've shifted to jobs where I have a lot more autonomy, doing like more gig economy work and independent contractor work. And even in those types of situations, like a third party, um, just an evil person, like contacts my employer. And, when you work for very high profile people, they don't want you associated with unstable people. And, then I lose my job for that reason. But it's happened like a lot, like more than anyone could ever suspect in anyone's lifetime. And so I'm trying to work around it, but emotionally I'm in the quicksand, um, because I'm just running out of units to fight through. And if it was anything, if it was just, happiness or, a person, a romantic relationship or something that you can kind of go without, but money's how you get down the road. And, um, we all need to have that sense of safety and comfort. And that's what it threatens the most.
Maybe. Or maybe God is breathing you right now. I hear what you're saying. Whether you're winning or you're losing in your fantasy or in your story or in your life experience physically, you're still in the same game. And if your happiness and your joy is going to be dependent on those conditions, in a sense, you will always lose. Because even for those people, I mean, I work with people who've been successful in a career for many, many years, and then they have to retire. And then it's like, what do I do with my life? The whole thing. Everybody has their suffering. And the truth is, if anybody puts their faith, their investment, their energy into the physical world, thinking the physical world is going to make you happy, fulfilled, secure, all those things that we want, you still end up losing. That's what I was saying. You might consider not intellectually or mentally or psychologically, but really going inward spiritually and connecting into the you that is transcendent of all of this. If you'd like to know techniques for doing that, I have a few that work.
I would love to. I mean, this is all new to me. So
Yeah, no, 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 for sure. So like, well, let's try this. Have you ever done anything with like mantras?
no,
Okay. Well, were you here at the beginning when we were chanting?
yes,
Okay, and we did the Anahu thing.
yes.
Okay, perfect. So what I'd like to do as an experiment with you is I'd like for us to just place, if you could just place your focus on, if you look at the side of the head, kind of in the middle,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then above the brow, yeah. So as if you're in the middle, like if you do the spike there and a spike there, it's like kind of in the middle of the head. So you bring your attention up. We call that the third eye center. So it kind of, if you bring your attention up, it kind of arcs back. And actually, the yogis say there's some, if you know there's chakras of the body from like yoga or something like that, they say there's some 18 chakras leading up and out.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. So what I'd like you to do is, so first, let's just close our eyes and just breathe naturally. And I'd like you to imagine that you're sitting on the most comfortable lazy boy chair behind your eyes. So in that spot that we just identified. And you could think of your eyes almost like as those are like the portholes or the windows, right? But you're sitting behind them. Do you feel that?
Yes.
Great. Now I'd like you to imagine that this super comfortable lazy boy chair is suspended by a golden thread that goes up into infinity through the middle of the top of your head. And then just feel yourself sort of suspended, like you're just floating right there. Just feel that. Now, I'd like you to, as you inhale and exhale naturally, you can imagine in your head you're chanting. You don't have to do it out loud, but you would hear inside your head you're chanting Hugh like that. But it's like HU, so Hugh, right? But feel the vibration in the thread. So you can feel that thread. And as you chant Hugh into that one point that we talked about, you're on your lazy boy chair. That beautiful thread is golden threads vibrating, and you feel yourself almost being lifted upward. Can you feel that? You're chanting Hugh into that thread.
I'm trying.
No, you're doing great. Just keep chanting into that thread. Hugh. You hear that?
Well, my breath has gotten slower.
Yeah. And if you feel like a silence comes in, just let the silence come in. See if you hear a beautiful sound. See if you hear that thread and that vibration. Maybe it's the sound of thunder or a heartbeat or a rushing surf or the sound of a bell or a trickling creek of water. Maybe even the sound of quaking asps or buzzing bees, or even the sound of haunting flutes, celestial strings. And feel yourself almost reaching upward, like as if you're yawning into infinity. You're reaching up that golden thread, like you're reaching for your beloved. Just feel that loving and sweet yearning for your beloved on the other end of that string. How does it feel? Mm. You may notice that loving energy as you reach upward. You kind of can't help but feel that loving flowing down into your body as well. Like it fills you. So as much as you're reaching up into the highest, it's almost reaching down and touching you. How's that, Megan?
Peaceful.
Yeah, you left your body a little.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely it makes the heaviness in my stomach go away.
That's my experience too.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Can you all can you hear my voice okay? I think somebody was typing that my volume was low or something. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Megan, and look
Thank
forward to you. Join anytime, share anytime you want, and you can practice. In fact, I think there's a really good explanation of the Hue meditation. One moment. How to do that at home. Here, I'm going to put this in the chat for you, all right?
Okay, thank you.
And then you can play with it as much as you want. Because the thing is, you can clear all the stuff and you can fix all the stuff, you can do all that. But this stuff, what we just did, that's the shortcut. You getting in touch with a you that is transcendent of the karma, that's more powerful than any technique I can give you. We call that spiritual exercises. And that's really the cornerstone of what we do.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Yeah, I put the link in the chat if you want to check that out. Okay. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right. Peter.
Yes, Jeffrey, I have something that's come up, as a very concrete uh, example of a pattern I have, and that is that I think I have underlying fears that cause me to catastrophize sometimes and really get pretty far off balance. And I had some surgery this morning to to take care of a genetic condition that apparently it's fairly rare that comes down from the Vikings that brought it to North America. It's called Dupuytren's contracture, and it causes your hands or your feet to sort of curl up in a fist. And so I had that in my left hand, and I was on losing some control of my thumb and my small finger. And so after the surgery, it was not general anesthetic; it was a nerve block, and they in the written materials they said the nerve block would be completely resolved in I think 6 to 20 hours. And I'm 12 hours into it, and my arm from my shoulder to my fingers is still completely unfeeling and completely immovable. And so I've sort of taken that catastrophizing um, tendency, gotten scared. I've been out, I probably walked a mile up and down the halls here trying to stimulate my my circulation to clear it. And I have a bunch of narcotics sitting on the shelf, but I have no need for them because I can't feel anything. And so I think that this place that I go to often in this kind of circumstance, whether it has to do with money or it has to do with family or something like that, is something that I'd like to understand better, to clear and to make the best of this kind of pointed opportunity. So I thought I had a great chance to talk to you about it. Here I am.
Okay. What is the catastrophizing is the what if my arm doesn't, if the feeling doesn't return kind of thing?
That's right, and I can't use it anymore.
Okay. Let's try and experiment with that. So if you go into the catastrophe image, but you're probably already there.
Uh,
If you could envision John Roger, the Lord Jesus Christ, whoever that is for you, put them in that image. So go to the catastrophe image, but bring support, bring a healer. Do you understand?
yeah, I do.
So, and ask them please to heal all involved in the situation until only love remains.
That's somebody who. Oh.
And just watch what they do.
Yeah, I see JR hugging me and touching or getting very close to me with his hands.
Put your hand on your belly. below the navel. Yeah, right there. Just ask for a healing light. There seems to be more of an association with worry in the feminine, like the mother. So if you could bring that loving and that light, just ask for the light to bless and clear your entire maternal line, your mother. Ask that she be held and loved. And just say into that part of your stomach, this is the safest place on the planet. Yeah, that cleared that. That's good. And then how's that future image going? How's the catastrophe going?
I think I probably have nothing to worry about on the one hand, and on the other hand, if I do, it's probably not a catastrophe. So
Yeah. Well, are there any other negative images coming forward? I'm just saying, you got amazing support there. Why not bring them into all of them? So whatever negative stuff you can invent in your mind, just bring in that healing presence to heal it so that only love remains.
yes,
We don't make it wrong. There's a part of us that's designed to catastrophize. And that part of us is valid. That part of us deserves our loving and our honoring. It doesn't need to run our life, but we can love it and appreciate it because it was placed there with care. There's no accidents. There's nothing broken about your consciousness. You can love even the part of you that paces up and down the hallway trying to get control of your nervous system. And you can say, I love you. Thank you for caring so much. Thank you for looking out for me. The mind will often come in and go, oh my God, what am I doing? And then the shame will come in, like, how could I be doing this? See, that's a whole other layer that's not needed. But you could find that part of you that catastrophizes positively adorable.
oh yeah,
It comes from the same sweetness and enthusiasm. It's like that part of you that it's like it's like Christmas in there. It's like that same part of you that gets so excited when you're doing something new and when you're discovering something is the same part of you that kind of catastrophizes too. So how can you curse and damn it when you got that sweetness there? I mean,
yeah.
it comes from the same innocent enthusiasm that you bring to everything that you do. That looks a lot better.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Try breathing from your belly though. Breathe into your whole stomach. Right now you're breathing up at the top. Just breathe into your belly a little bit. There you go. you go. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
My pleasure. Okay, Carly.
Hi, good evening. My name's Karali. Um, wow, that was beautiful. I could just stay looking at Peter's face forever with that smile. Thank you for that. Both of those shares were very profound for me. Um, I'm having some kind of existential pain, and it's like I'm tired of the parts of my personality that keep running up against the world. What I mean by that is, uh, to start a little general, is, and then I'll be a little more specific if needed, is like, uh, I'm very like quick and inspired and have like a lot of insight. Oh, and I have been, by the way, been playing around with not planning and not trying to know ahead of things. Last time I spoke to you, you were giving me this edge, which was familiar to, I knew what edge you were talking about, and I've been leaning into it more. And but I'm also impatient, brusque, pushy. I've just come out of a prolonged collaborative experience. I was in a certificate program and had a long consulting project with two other students who I admired and cared about, but we were so different. And I couldn't figure out how to not trigger them and make make waves, make problems. And I couldn't, I can in the space of one conversation act, soften my edges. But in the space of months of high pressure work, I could not. And uh this has come up in my whole life many, many times, where I'm like the most playful and the most fun and the most inspired and, and smart and quick. But then also like I have these like edges where I want to take control or I want to, take up all the space or, uh, and I can't seem to shed it. I've done all the kinds of work on myself.
What are all
And
the kinds of work that you did?
um meditation and spiritual exercises and transformational trainings and Vipassana retreats and many years of amazing counseling with someone who's involved with an MSIA, someone from this community who's an incredible healing person. Um, and lots of things. I'm continuously, when I say many years, I mean like 25 years with this person. And yeah, a lot of trying to tune in and settle myself. I think maybe I have to accept this about myself. But then I get really, really bent out of shape when I hurt people's feelings, fluster them, make them feel, if anybody's disapproving of me, even someone that whose, opinion I don't even value, I can't stand the feeling of somebody disapproving. So, I just came from a weekend of coursework where I just was like, just feeling fraught with it. And I really tried to stay with like, how is this useful? And how can I just uh, see this as part of my life learning? Um, but it was a real pinch. And it also is like, well, I'm just tired of coming up against this thing where I'm like a bull in a china shop, but then ultra sensitive about how people feel about me at the same time. And
Classic throwing stones from glass houses kind of thing.
yeah, I guess I just, yeah, so I mean, I worked on trying to give myself some forgiveness, and yeah, I had some, like really a lot of self-criticism, and just the need for approval is so powerful. Um, but I'm not that subtle to maintain the ability to continuously have approval. Also I like transformation. I like change, so I'm pushing, right? Which is gonna create that uh reaction and response in the world. I know that if I meditate more, if I do more spiritual exercises, I can have more beats between, my reaction and my,
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you just have a karma with that.
yeah.
Uh, I'll speak from my own experience. I've always had a little bit of a prickliness and a sharpness of tongue and all that kind of thing going in my world. Trying to control myself to be liked by other people or trying to control other people into liking me didn't work. So I kind of stopped that. I mean, it still bugs me when people don't like me for a second and then I work the process and let it go. But I realized that all that time that I was spending doing that was time I could be spending loving and healing and creating safety inside of myself. And at a certain point, I kind of just had to go, I like loving to be the loudest voice in my head. I'd like loving to be the most important thing going on, where even if all kind of bullshit comes out of my mouth, loving will come with it, no matter what. So for me, sometimes, I mean, what ended up being the real switch was I said, well, in my presence, everybody's going to feel loved and they're going to feel my caring. So even if my mouth has a foot in it most of the time, which probably does, nobody would ever leave a conversation saying, oh, I don't think that person loves me. So it's like right now you're putting a lot of energy into how do I fix my shitty expression. I would take all that energy and put it into if I'm going to have a shitty expression, it's going to have a whole lot of love on it. You see the difference? I don't think you're going to be able to make your ego not do what it does. You have some karmas around expression. And if you look at the evidence in your life, the more you could try to control it, the more you kind of put your foot in your mouth and you say things and you're real direct and like that just happens. And that's great. I I would just take all that energy and put it into, well, if I'm going to say this shitty thing, it's going to have I love you on it louder than all the shittiness. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. I do. I think I'm not sure that it's exactly sometimes it's being direct, but a lot of other times it's just being pushy about what I want or what I think.
Great. So that's fine. So be pushy and loving.
And loving.
Be lovingly pushy. Then it becomes adorable and sweet. You kind of smile and you go, I'm going to push you again. You get what I'm saying? I started realizing, and people to this day, they'll say things to people. They go, "How do you get away with doing that? How do you get away with doing that?" If I said that, they'd be all mad at me. But when you say it, they're like fine with it. And I even erupted people sometimes. I mean, like I'm up here doing these talks, and you're like, "Oh, he must be real evolved." Nope, nope, he's not. He's got a temper and he's got humanity just like everybody else. And I don't like those parts of me when they get me in a bad mood. You write the shitty email or say the shitty thing, and it still comes out. If we make loving the most important thing that we're doing at any given moment, everything else kind of works itself out. I'm telling you, they will not hear pushiness, they will just feel loved. You don't have to worry about being loved. You don't have to worry about being liked or approved of if your sole focus is just in building the loving inside of you. Just build it more, more, more. Let's just put more loving into the words that I say and the things that I do. Let's just put more. I know it sounds like I'm reading you a Hallmark card or something. I'm not. Genuinely, it's a different intention. Some of what you're going through is a transformation in consciousness where you're realizing that the habitual patterns of your expression no longer match the frequency of your beingness. And so some of your expression patterns are based on old habits, which is fine. But you trying to edit those is not going to work either. Because the truth is, it's kind of, it's more like shedding skin, or it's more like the lobster. When you got to grow, you got to go under a rock and take off the shell that you got, and you got to grow a new shell. So it's like, you can't spend too much time trying to fix an expression pattern that belongs to a you that isn't there anymore. Sometimes you just got to take that off because it's not you anymore. But you don't really have to worry about that process. And the fact that you're putting so much energy into it is kind of holding all of that in place versus just letting it fall away. You're changing. I mean, even since the last time we talked, you look totally different. You sound totally different. Your energy is totally different. You're a different person. You haven't noticed? Oh, maybe you did.
I don't know.
Some shifts, no?
You know, I've been in school. I've been so focused on that. I just finished. I just graduated.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But there's a different quality in your consciousness,
mm,
and it may not match those older expression patterns. But again, you don't have to worry about that if your focus is just, how do I amp up the loving even more in this communication? It doesn't matter what I say. It could be the pushiest thing you could possibly imagine. But if you can amp up the loving sufficiently, people will want more of it. They'll say, "Can you push me some more?"
mm. I seem
The,
to I seem to flip into like an insecurity, or at least this weekend, that's how I flipped. It was like I went into like a needing. It was such a weird, I almost didn't recognize myself. I kind of figured that I was just actually not matching the frequency of the people that I was around because I felt so.
no, I don't know if it's that. Well, for my intuition, we'll say, I think it's more you felt insecure because you were out of alignment with your own frequency,
mm,
and you felt out on a limb because your behavior was out of alignment with your frequency. And you were going into, this is how Karali behaved before, rather than this is what's present right now in this moment. I think alignment's a real big key for you in this.
I find that the the way for me to stay in this place is to if I can continuously stay connected to remembering spirit that I can surrender and let go and trust, um, then I have something different accessible to me. But it's hard for me to obviously to remember that all the time. I go back into,
Yeah, but that becomes a very big condition. I think you can also act as if. I think you can also observe. Just the process of observing your behavior and loving on yourself in that behavior will bring you into that remembrance. What you just described is a pretty tall order. It's like if I could just walk around with a turban floating around with my spiritual awareness, then I wouldn't have any issue. It was like, yeah, that's true.
it's just
If
like
you,
night and day though for me when I do remember to surrender, I can be so present.
right, but
And
I
then the rest
think,
of the time I'm like grasping and trying to control everything and, trying to,
but I think the middle ground is following the energy. The middle ground is going into observation.
mm,
You don't necessarily have to be a rishi on top of a mountain to simply observe your behavior and go, wow, look at that. There must be a part of me that needs love, but I've got love, so let's do it. You get what I'm saying? It's like,
I feel that way many times.
yeah, I don't like that feeling either. For me, it's at parties. Like I'll go to like a party or a group thing. I don't really love groups like that, like social environments. I'm always the wallflower. Like if I go to a dinner, I'm always the one that nobody's talking to.
No way.
Seriously, seriously. I literally somehow managed to be the one person at a table not engaged in a conversation.
I'm the one making slime on the back deck with the kids.
See that? I would hang out with you. But now the other one is like, I have that whole like when I meet people for the first time and I'm like, oh my God, I must have made the worst first impression. See, but that whole process goes away when I just go, how can I love and serve you, beloved, to everyone I meet? Because if I'm in that service and that loving mode that I'm talking about, like how loving and serving the one in front of you, all that other stuff just goes away from me. And then I move on to the next thing. I just forget I met somebody. They're like, but you just met that person. It's like, well, I don't, okay. But I'm already on to the next thing. That self-consciousness comes when you get into the reflective mind and you start assessing what you think happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my experience is if you can just focus on loving that person and making it about them, not about you in relation to them,
Mm.
it's like the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others. That
Hmm.
consciousness of service for me is the solution every time. We all, everyone on this call has times when they completely misrepresent themselves, me especially. And it's like you go around and you, and God, I'm like on this call. I'll probably come out this call and go, I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. Why did all these people come to this call? I don't even think I helped anyone. Yeah, that's my ego. That's my where my ego can go. But it doesn't really matter because even if all I did was love this person in front of me for the time that we spoke and that somebody got to hear John Rogers' voice for the first time, it was a worthwhile call at that point because I know I brought my loving to the table. And there's a radical perspective since you talk about doing more of like the clearing work and like more of the spiritual work and having more of that dimension to it. If you check inside and say, did I follow the energy? Did I follow the spirit in that interaction? If you followed the Spirit, even if you pissed him off, then you did right and you move on because it wasn't your work, it was God's work.
Mm.
When I realized that, it was like, how did I do on the talk? And then I went inside. It's like, well, I don't really know. I don't necessarily like what I said, but did I follow the Spirit? Was I really, really loyal to that? And it says yes. Then it's really none of my business. For me, the correction is always, did I make my ego more important than my attunement? That one I like to learn from and do differently. But please understand that following the Spirit does not always mean that people like you and does not always mean that you make people comfortable.
Yeah, it's like, that's really hard. It's really hard for me.
Yeah, I know.
It just, it eats me up. And I haven't figured out how to unhook it or not have it completely pull me out back into that analysis that you're
If
talking about.
Yeah, for me, it's this is God's work. This is God's work. It's none of my business. If I'm following the spiritual directive in each moment, then how people take that is none of my business. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
And I make mistakes there. Maybe I'm totally off. Maybe I'm mistaken about what's God's directive in this moment. And that's okay too, because at least I was loving with the person. At least I connected in and healed the part of me that is them. At least for 1 second, that
Mhm.
person knew what it is to be loved because I ensured that that was so.
Mm.
They may have gotten nothing out of the content of my words, but they will get the loving.
Mm. Okay. Thank you. That's good for me to work with. Thank you.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. God bless you. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining me here and having fun with me. Have a wonderful night. God bless you. I love you. Peace be still. The blessings already are.